Hi everyone, welcome to Creative Space. This is our bi-monthly community hangout. We always have such an amazing time. Coming up in this session, we've got Ascension Worship. Interviews with some of our creative community who share their journey and what they're working on right now. Is so inspiring.
I listened to them and I was kind of blown away really by not just how amazing they were, but how natural it all was. And it was just, I'd really never heard anything like it before, and it was really incredible.
This is what I feel like I've heard the Lord say. The mandate on this album is that each of these songs is literally an open encounter. So
make conscious decisions about what do I want to say, and what do how do I want to sound to people, and what do I want my the frequency of the book I'll write one day to be, and what do I want that to do to people when they hold it or when they read it.
Words of encouragement from my fellow co-hosts.
Eternal, and so creativity is as vast as his heart, as him, because it is who he is, but it's also who he created us to be. And
a delicious meal with a bunch of creators, and we just got to get out there now and shape and create culture.
If you love what we're doing and you want to stay connected, subscribe to this brand new channel, and we're gonna keep this updated, and we've got some amazing things planned this year. But for now, enjoy this session.
Hi.
Welcome.
Nice to see you guys.
See you.
Hey Stephen.
Here they all are.
Elizabeth.
Hello.
Hi Andrew. Anchor.
You say hello if you want to. Welcome. Definitely. Good call. Good call.
Well, welcome everyone. I just want to see if there's anyone on for the very first time who hasn't joined us before.
Yes.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Well, we're going to have an epic night tonight. Do you want to spotlight us or whatever you do, Rachel?
Yeah, I can do that. Let me
Do
get my
magic,
torch.
Rachel.
Rachel does the techie thing, so.
Okay, hold on. I've made Janine the main person.
And here's Janine.
Get back.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on it now. Hold on.
Well, whilst Rachel's doing that, I just want to say thanks for all kind of being with us live. We love these live sessions. This is the last one of the year, and this is our second year of doing this. So we kind of plan to go ahead and do another year next year, which will be year 3. So that's very exciting. And we've got lots of amazing things planned for next year. We feel like this is just really growing, and the relationships and connections and friendships and the community side, and even what we're all doing, what Rob's doing, Elisabeth, Rachel and myself. We just love doing this, and we are growing, facilitating this. So yeah, we've got some exciting plans happening next year. We've got a live event, which will probably be November, which we'll probably host at the chapel, and we're going to get Elisabeth over, hopefully, to the UK.
Yes, I'll be there.
Yeah, and we've got some other exciting things planned. So tonight we're going to be speaking to 2 amazing people. My good friend, Rhiannon, who's a poet, and I've known for many years, and I'm really excited to chat to her. And Rob's going to be speaking to Jenn.arrington. So we've got some fun times coming. Great, thank you for every single person that's kind of spending their time with us here tonight. We really appreciate you, and we love what the Father is doing, that he's weaving and connecting us all together. Even though we live in places all around the globe, in the spirit, we're one heart, we're one community. And it's just amazing, isn't it, to just be an encouragement to each other. That's the the point really of what we're doing, is that we are uniting in the spirit, so that there is this synergy, there's this place of energy as we kind of come into that place, and we all benefit from that. Like, as I was saying before, Rachel, Elisabeth, and myself and Rob, as we've given out this year, we've actually received so much more than we've given out. And it just comes back to you, doesn't it, when you kind of encourage someone else and spur them on. It's just a really beautiful thing, and it's just epic just to see the amount of people now that are finding each other and collaborating and just developing, growing, expanding. So do you want to jump in at all, Elisabeth?
No, I'm good. If we want to just, move along and let Jenni do her thing. Yeah.
I thought you might have, something profound to add, so I thought I'd better check.
No, not at this. Not
That's coming later.
Yeah. We gotta save it. We can't always be profound.
We can look forward to that bit later.
That's right.
I can add something profound.
Oh, Rob.
Oh, Rob, go for it.
Oh my goodness. I saw a friend of mine had this little book of quotes. And we were just having a coffee together. He said, "Oh, I just bought this book. It's got some really inspirational quotes in it." And I looked through it, and a couple of them were like, "Whoa, that's amazing." I know, was it Yvonne or Yvette was speaking earlier on, saying she didn't know she was a dancer. She didn't know she was this. She didn't know what she was capable of, essentially. Yeah. And this quote was, according to physics, the bumblebee, can't fly, because it's so fat and it's got very tiny wings. But the bumblebee doesn't know it. He doesn't know that he can't fly, so he just goes and flies, right? So it's like often we put this boundary on ourselves. We limit ourselves creatively. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not capable of doing this, because this is something in your mindset that tells you that there's no way you can do it. There's no way you can do that at your age, or you're not strong enough. You're not capable. You're not clever enough. Blah blah blah. But if you took away all those misconceptions, you'd be able to do and achieve far more creatively. So from the bumblebee's perspective, no one's told him he can't fly, so he just goes and flies because he wants to get to that flower and then get to that flower, albeit quite precariously if you see them kind of bouncing around because they're so heavy. But the fact remains, no one's told him he can't fly. So we need to kind of break that mindset where you get told that you can't do things or you're not capable of doing it. And I think that was a great quote to see there, because it just sums up with a lot of people that they can restrict themselves creatively. And I think with all of us, we're all dancers, we're all singers, we're all poets, we're all speakers. We've all got voices, we've all got this within us. It's just breaking free of that, really, I think.
That's right. Yeah. So true.
So good.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Rob. It's so true, isn't it, that we are so full, that there's the unlimitless one within us, and we need to kind of just let that out and not let our minds or things that we think or our abilities even restrict or hold us back. Yes, I'm sure we've got lots, and we'll probably hear in the journeys that we listen to tonight some of that as well. I know when we speak to Jen and Non. We're going to transition now. What we love to do is we love just to get in God's presence together, come into that place of ascension. We call it Ascension Worship. And my good friend Jenni Dufoort, did I get that right?
Close enough. My love covers a multitude of
mispronunciations.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, we've worked out that I'm not that great with foreign surnames. So I just want to introduce Jenni to you guys. I'm sure we're going to hear more from Jenni next year, because she's actually working on an EP at the moment herself, so we'll save that for another session. But we've become really good friends, and I got the amazing chance to spend a whole week with her recently in Amsterdam, where she's a YWAM leader, And she's just the most amazing person. She leads all these people of, you know, that are young, and there's a real mixture of ages, into the things of God, in his heart, into heaven. And it was just great to spend a week with her, and her worship just blows me away. So I thought it'd be cool if she just took us into that place of ascension. So I'm just going to pray, and then if Jen, you want to go for it.
Yep. Sounds good.
Kishka Karabarabasandari. So let's just take a moment just to tune into his heart. Just let your mind become still. And just open your heart to his presence right now. Lord, we just become aware of you and all that surrounds you right now. The Holy One, the Magnificent One, the one who's clothed in garments of light, beauty, and splendor. Just open up the love gate of our hearts. We just become aware of you, Father. Thank you, Lord.
I just want to worship you. I just want to worship you for who you are. And oh Lord, you're beautiful. Your face is all I seek, and when your eyes are on this child, your grace abounds to me. Oh Lord, you're beautiful. Light the fire that once burned bright and clear. Replace the lamp of my first love that burned with holy fear. I wanna take Oh, my reward is giving glory to you. Sing out your own song. I just wanna love you. I just wanna love you. Oh, I just wanna love you. Hey, I just wanna love you with my life. Oh, I just wanna love you. Yes, I just wanna love you. Yes, I just wanna love you. With all my heart, with all my mind, with all my life. Oh, I just wanna love you. Yes, I just wanna love you with all my heart, with all my mind, with all my life. Oh, I just wanna love you. Yes, I just wanna love you. Hey, oh, with all our heart, with all our might, with all our lives. Oh, we just wanna love you. Yes, we just wanna love you. 'Cause with all your heart and with all your mind, oh yes, you gave your life just because you loved us, just because you loved us. And that's why we sing, oh Lord, you're beautiful. Your faith is all we see. And when your eyes are on us, Lord, your grace abounds. Yes, your grace abounds. Yes. Oh, your grace abounds.
Thank you, Father, for the sweetness of your presence. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. Oh, thank you, Jen. That was so awesome.
Beautiful.
Love
Thank
you.
you.
Wowza.
What a voice.
So good.
Did you guys
So
enjoy
beautiful.
that?
Mhm.
I needed that. I've had one of those weeks where I've been doing a lot of admin and not as much kind of time on my piano as I would have liked in the last few days. Normally it's like a daily thing for me. I have to get into the presence, I have to be in the realm, but it's just been a bit of a crazy one. But every time I go into that place, I'm just reminded, oh, I need this. This is life. This is oxygen. To me, my brain needs it, my body needs it, my heart needs it, my spirit needs it. Wow, thank you, Father. Okay, so I think what we'll do now is go straight to Rob and Jen, if that's okay.
Yeah, cool. Just me, big face.
It's
Jen
coming
with
out.
us?
She's coming.
I'm
Oh,
here.
Here we go. There she is. Woo!
oh,
Hello.
Here you are, Jen and Rob.
lost. Yeah, hi everyone. So I wanted to introduce my friend Jenn.arrington, and hello.
Hello.
And we met a few months ago. Jen contacted me out of the blue and said, I've been writing some songs, but I'm not sure what they're like or how good they are or what to do with them. But your name came to mind, and I wondered whether you'd like to take a listen to them and see if maybe we could work together on producing them and doing something. And so I said, yeah, okay. I'm always excited about hearing what music someone's doing, especially someone new. And so Jen sent me a few songs, and I listened to them, and I was kind of blown away really by not just how amazing they were, but how natural it all was. And it was just, I'd really never heard anything like it before, and it was really incredible. And so since then, we've started working together, and we're working on an album at the moment, which is going really well. So we thought it'd be a great idea to put Jen on the spotlight and embarrass her and ask her loads of questions. So welcome, Jen. It's great to have you on here.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. So just give us a little bit of background about these songs that you've written and where they came from and how it all came about.
Well, the songs that are going to be on the album, I've been writing worship music for about 10 years now, but the songs that are going to be on this album have all literally come straight from the Lord. So I haven't actually written any lyrics, no melodies. It's all literally dropped onto me, and I've just had to get it out immediately. And some of them came with Encounter, and so it's really wild to experience that with the Lord. But I feel like I can't take credit for any of it, you know? I'm just like, this is amazing. Like, what do you want me to do with it, Lord?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but anyway, it's been wild. It's been so fun. It's been loads of different sounds that I never would have put if I was just creating something, on my own, just kind of making music, songwriting, and like, making it happen. And it's been really cool to be a part of that. So I feel like, and this is what I feel like I've heard the Lord say, the mandate on this album is that each of these songs is literally an open encounter. So anyone who wants to engage in that position of oneness is going to find something from him. And it's probably not the same thing as me, but there's like literally a pathway open in each one of these songs.
Yeah.
So some of them are even written from his perspective. Some of them are lyrics written from our union perspective and sung out from that way. And it's just been wild. Some of them are still unveiling to me. The revelation of what's in the song is still opening up to me. So it's
Yeah, I
pretty
remember that
exciting.
there'd be moments, haven't there, where you've just said, right, I've got something else. It's just come and I've just written it. You know, and it's just been like, oh, got to get it out, got to get it out. And it's been just incredible. One of the questions I had, which is going to be quite helpful for everyone, is regarding the encounters that you had. Do you think you had to position yourself in some way in order to tap into that heavenly environment, or did it just come to you without any effort?
Well, that's kind of a long story, but to put it shortly, I've always had this like insatiable hunger for God. And when I first came back to the church, to the Lord, and understanding the Trinity and learning who the Holy Spirit was and how God speaks to us and everything, that was about 12 years ago. And I still didn't quite understand that we were one. So it was like this desire for union, this hunger for oneness, this insatiable itch to just be constantly in the presence and not realizing that I was. And listening to Justin really started changing the game, because I began praying from that perspective, even though I didn't quite feel it. It was like I was going to bypass my brain and go from what I know is truth, from how Justin unpacks the word and unpacks relationship with the Lord in union. And about a year, it was a little over a year ago, last August, the Lord just took me, and I had about 10 days of intense rapture. And it was just everything built upon itself. And it was just mind blowing stuff, which began with just the Lord manifesting himself to me. Jesus was just right there in the flesh, it felt like, holding my hand and taking me on this journey, showing me my life scroll, showing me my children, showing me my family that I was born into, showing me all these things about our scrolls and our genealogy and how we co-create so much from his heart, even before we're a human form like this. And it began with that, and then there was deliverance, and then there was creativity, and then there was just intense intercession, and all of it was with him. And it was just constant snowball effect and bliss, just bliss, bliss, bliss. And by the end of the 10 days, I was actually seeing in the natural with my eyes open, seeing things that I was seeing at the beginning with my eyes closed in vision. So it was like literally manifest in my house, everywhere around me. It was just these geometric shapes and universes and angels and just anything you can imagine, it felt like. And that was when the Lord really started opening up my music. And it was like these songs just were coming from this heavenly place. And I started sending them to just a couple of my really, really close friends, just sharing what God was doing. Rachel was one of them, and Anka is on here. She's another one. And they were really the only two that I was just sharing kind of everything with, that as it was coming, because it was just such a heavy flow. And then those wild encounters began to kind of taper off, but the union never did. And so I've realized experientially how much he truly is in us, and how much more his desire is for us than our desire could ever be for him. And that desire that is for him is him in us. So it's just like,
Yeah.
that's where it all comes from. And it's just been kind of like this unstoppable flow ever since, which has been wild. And I just keep my hands open like this. I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm going to hold this like this, because I'm
Yeah.
loving every moment, but I'm okay with whatever you want to do with it,
Yeah, yeah. I
So
think it's that union, isn't it? Because when you know, when I first became a Christian years and years ago, I didn't have that. I didn't really understand what that was. Even as a musician, I didn't really, or as a creative, I didn't really have that. I don't know. It was different, and but now I realise that I can be in any situation. All I need to do is pick up an instrument, and I can release something straight away because now I've got that connection. I've got that oneness, and it's kind of a lifestyle. It's not that you have to think about it or prepare yourself to do it. We should be aiming and heading towards a place where we have such a union that we would just it's just an instant connection. You haven't got to think about it or work at it. It's effortless, you know. um that's what I'm finding now. It's
Yeah.
just, and then you start getting that flow. It's really quite amazing.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. It came, I did
carry
want to
on.
share one more part
Yeah.
about that. Um, Before the Lord really just took me in that way, I had been praying and been hungering for that mystical union, and for, ever. And the season prior to that, we had just moved here to the UK, and I was pregnant, and it was about 2 years of intense depression. And so much so that I didn't even want to acknowledge that's what it was happening, because I was like, that's not real. That's, you know, depression can't possibly be real if you're a Christian. You know what I mean? And it was like so deep and so much bondage in that way. And I didn't know how to get out of it. I didn't know what to do. I was even, you know, talking to my husband when I finally realized, okay, I have something's wrong mentally. This is not okay. And I opened up to my husband and I was like, should I get on some medication? I'm like, I've never been on anything in my life, and I'm like, I feel like I need help like that. And we just continued to press on, continued to pray, continued to be in the word, continued to just, we have 4 young children. So at the time I had just had our youngest, and we had 4 years old and under. And it was just like that lifestyle of constantly changing diapers, constantly fixing food and putting food in their mouth and making bottles and washing bottles and breastfeeding at the same time. And all of these things, waking up in the middle of the night and, leading stuff at a church, at a local church, and trying to figure out what God's doing with us here in this country where we have no family and no deep friendships quite yet. So it was like, it was an intense season. And that very first day when the Lord just raptured me, I smelled burial spices before anything happened. And he said, I heard this voice clear as ever. He said, the grave clothes are off. And then it was like complete light. I closed my eyes, I fell back, and it was like I was shooting towards a light, in a light with it was just me and Jesus in this light, like beaming towards the light. And I fell asleep like that because it was going on and on and on. And it was so blissful. But it came out of that seriously dark place. And I haven't tasted any of those feelings or thoughts or anything since then. It was like immediate deliverance. And but it was dark. It was a
Yeah.
cave. It was the cave with the Lord. And after he showed me after the crucifixion, where we died with Christ and we were buried with Christ, and then we were co-raised with Christ. It was like that. Actually, he gave that to me, that experience to me. And but yeah, it was like nothing that I did, but just continuing to hunger for the oneness. And I know no matter where you are, if you feel like you're in, just want to encourage anybody with that, because if you're in a place where you feel dark, in a place where you feel like you've been in a like rut, no matter what you do, it's dry, you are trying your best, you love the Lord with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and it's just still there's something that's not, I'm telling you, just keep going, and keep being from that place of what beyond your mind, what from your heart. And the Lord is with you, and he will continue to show you, he'll continue to unveil it, and he'll continue to flow with that creative life force, that spirit.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there myself many times in a deep valley, and you just think, there's no way out. There's no way out of this, and then there is a way out, because something just miraculously happens and it pulls you out of that situation. Or it can only be God. It can only be that ultimate presence that that delivers you from that, you know. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, quite amazing. So do you think has God has any specific plans for this album and this work you're doing at the moment, or is it just literally on a journey where, well, I'm just going to finish it and then whatever comes comes?
I'm not sure what's going to come because everything that he's been doing with me through this album has been new. So, one of the things that has kind of happened since I reached out to you, Rob, and since the music kind of just the idea that music is being created has been put out there on Facebook, I was invited to a medical conference, which I feel like this is a very big open door
Yeah,
that the Lord is wanting to move in. Um, and so, yeah, so I got to do this medical conference, which was a conference about quantum technologies for healing without medicine. So it was more like, let's get rid of the big pharma. Let's find something more healthy for the body, more healthy for humanity. Let's do something with the technology that's available today instead of, falling back to what has kind of worked in the past, but not really. It usually causes more problems, whatever.
yeah,
So anyway, I got to do the music therapy segment with a group of friends, and it was phenomenal. These doctors and psychiatrists and psychologists, we met at the Royal College of Psychiatry in London, and they were some of them were literally weeping and getting free, and they had no idea what was happening. And then throughout that weekend, they were like gravitating toward us. They're like, you could tell they knew we had a peace that they had never tasted. And we weren't allowed to talk about God or anything spiritual because they didn't want doctors to shut down, because generally those two don't go hand in hand.
yeah,
But anyway, it was phenomenal. And quite a lot of them have reached out and they've spoken of spiritual things. It's like they know, you know what I mean? They want to open up that conversation. So got a chance to pray with some and give a word to one and just things like that. It was like the Lord was just moving in this area. And I can see revival breaking out, I can see things happening in totally different, outside the walls of the church, which for the church, it's great. It would be awesome to see this album reach people who are in, a traditional church environment, but it's very different than anything I've ever heard in those circles. And I wouldn't be surprised if it goes more towards like the new age community, or I don't know. I really have no idea. So I'm just, like I said, I'm holding it like this,
yeah,
but I'm willing to do whatever God wants to do with it.
yeah, yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? And I know you well enough now to know that I think this is your path going forward. Is just like, I don't know what's next, and then suddenly bang, and then after that, oh, I don't know what's next, and then suddenly another bang. It's like, hmm, it's just amazing, and you're carrying it so well, and that's why these
Amen.
things are opening up for you, because you've got that heart for it. You've got that heart to move in those situations and engage with those people outside of the church,
Amen.
those people in like the medical profession, those people in need that are kind of looking for the answer. What is the real answer to everything, and you've really got that and really carrying it. So
Thank
that was
you.
just
Amen.
amazing. That was just amazing, that thing. So I'm going to play, give everyone a little taster of what we've been working on. So I'm going to play one of the tracks called Linger. Do you want to share a story behind this one, Jen, before we play it?
This one honestly just dropped. So this one, there wasn't really like a specific encounter per se, but it really was just actually it was a series of encounters where the Lord was just it's hard to describe because it had no vision. It was just my body. I was sensing the physical presence, the tangible, like the heat and the heartbeat and the womb, and even in my eyes, it was like I felt like things were just doubling inside. Like I felt like my eyes, my heart, my womb, and my tongue. That's what it was. My mouth, it felt like everything was, those four things were doubling in size. And I was just laying in bed and I would just be wide awake every night from, whenever he woke me up until the kids woke up, and just being in that zone with the Lord. And I knew he was doing something. And then after quite a few days of that, this song literally just dropped. These lyrics just fell, and so I just grabbed my phone, typed them all up, and it became this song, and it's all about just being, and it's from his perspective about us just being with him in union.
Yeah, just amazing. I can't add to that, so I'll play it. Okay, here we go.
Like a dewdrop on a blade of grass. Don't wanna move or fall too fast. Can you see yourself inside that glassy pearl? Like a finger on a lover's skin, trailing as if there were no end. And the ripple effect reflects back onto you. For you to know how I long for you to stay, and how I long to take you deeper through the veil into the sacred place.
Okay. I was gone halfway through that. I don't know about anybody else. I can see Jenny, you were amazing. So, admin guys, anyone else have any questions?
Wow, Jen, that was awesome. I'm loving
Thank
your
you.
work, Rob, as well. What a brilliant production.
Yeah, I think we're going to put the album out with a box of tissues, because there's been several times when me and Jen have just been like, it gets to a point, doesn't it, when you first start working on it, and it's getting there, and suddenly you hit that sweet spot you hit that heavenly sweet spot, and it's like, oh my goodness.
And I love how the track is longer than normal tracks, should we say. You do really get that chance to marinate and linger, and the angelic that surrounds and swirls on those lyrics. My goodness.
Yeah.
When's it out? When's it coming out?
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
We've still got a few to work on.
Sure.
And some funds that need to come in, but yes.
Yeah, we're getting there, certainly. We're definitely getting there.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks, Jen, for sharing your journey with us. And I know you're still in the thick of creating the album, and I know how much work kind of making albums is a dying art.
Yeah.
I was listening to like a Beyonce quote off Instagram the other day, and she was like, no one ever listens to albums anymore, and it's so true. I think you know, people are just kind of putting out singles and tracks, but there's something so beautiful about creating a body of work and releasing something that you receive in the realm of the Father, sitting on that in your heart and releasing the full weight of that out. And I know that's what it takes with an album. You're taking people into like a journey of different aspects of who he is, and it's just phenomenal. Your voice is epic on it, and it really carries such a like an ache. That's what when I was listening to it, it made me kind of want to be in that place with God and linger, you know, just what you're releasing in the lyrics. So yeah, so Father, we just pray for Jenn and all that she's doing. Lord, we thank you for this time in her life, Lord, where she's kind of engaging a new chapter, a new scroll, and all that you're opening up for her personally, Lord, and for all the people that will listen to this music. Father, thank you that you're going to reveal who you are through your love, through the presence, through the glory, through those intimate encounters, Lord, that she's had with you. I thank you that, Lord, each one of us has these precious pearls, Lord, and we each do it in a very unique way. So we thank you for the uniqueness, Lord, that's on this album, that you've given to Jenn, Lord, these precious treasures. And I pray, Lord, that it'll just be so greatly received in wherever you want to take the songs, Lord, whatever journey they're meant and lives they're meant to lead, and go into homes, into businesses, places of work, on the radio, wherever you take these tunes, Father, just let it be your Holy Spirit moving out on the airwaves as people listen. Thank you, Father. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's awesome, Rob, to see you kind of get your teeth into an album as well. I know it's nice for you to have the full thing.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Jenn, I had a picture of an arrow being released and hitting the bullseye of a target, and it's like it's going to hit people's hearts right in the center. It's really going to have an impact on hearts. It's amazing. Yeah.
And keep us posted, Jenn, in the group as you go in through your journey. For those of you who don't know, we have got a Facebook group, and one of the aims of the group is it keeps on evolving, but as you guys are working on stuff, if you post, it's just a little place where you can get a bit of feedback, a bit of encouragement, and it's just great to kind of see the themes as well. I find so fascinating that God speaks to people's hearts in between these sessions. So feel free to post there. We'll eagerly await your updates, Jenn.
Yeah, I'll definitely be updating. Thank you guys so much for especially the feedback too, the comments. Like I said, I've only shared this with very few people, and it's scary, you know, doing your first thing like that, but just the fact that you guys are catching it is enough for me, you know, like the mystical community who already is there with the Lord, for them to be enjoying it and to just have another one like Janine, like, you know, all these amazing people that you've had on here and who are releasing music, and it's just really an honor. So thank you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Jenn. So next up, we're going to speak to my good friend Non or Rhiannon. Say hello.
Hello.
So I just want to introduce Non to you guys, or Rhiannon. How would you like to be known, Non? I know we call you Nonny.
Anything goes, yeah, whatever you like. Non is easier, or go with Rhiannon. Call me what you would call me, Janine, it's fine.
Well, that could be anything, let's face it. Well, this is just such an honour to have Non on with us, because I've known Non for probably going on nearly 10 years now, I would say, pretty much.
Yeah,
Getting close to that, if not 10 years. And went back in a day when there was only kind of a few of us doing stuff in Wales. Not Rhiannon and her husband rocked up to one of our meetings, and they were just wild. I loved them instantly. Hadley, Non's husband, is equally as creative and epic and fiery, and they're just such good friends. We've holidayed together, haven't we? We've been on about 3 or 4 camping holidays.
We have.
Yeah, so Non was actually the first poet that I ever met, or the first person that really loved writing and poetry. And I just loved chatting to you over the years, and just to see kind of your passion just unfold and grow and have it a life of its own. So I want to maybe go back to the beginning, because when you guys first came to Wales, you came and you could do worship stuff, which is how we connected. You moved to a little valley. I don't know if you want to give people a little bit of a cottage history.
Yeah, we were involved in worship stuff. I'm from Wales originally, but we were involved in worship stuff in London during the Olympics and stuff, and then finished that and didn't really know where to go. So then we ended up in Birmingham, just near some family. And while I was in Birmingham, it's interesting, there's a bit of a mental health theme going on, but yeah, I wasn't very well in Birmingham. I was very unwell, actually, after the birth of my second child. I had postnatal depression and sort of borderline psychosis. So I was really unwell, but I started listening to some Justin preachers just on YouTube, and I think I think a friend told me about him prior to that, but I think that's when I started to really listen. And then I remember I had a dream. I had a dream about a house in Wales, and we thought, oh, maybe that's where we're going next. And I saw a specific house, and then we came to your conference. Do you remember the one that Julia played at?
Yeah. That was wild.
Anyway, this is like a really long story, so I won't go into all the details because it's really long. But basically the house, we happened to pop along like to see, I can't remember why we went there, but we went to see this house during the conference or something, and it was the house that I'd seen in the dream. So we thought, oh well, that's pretty obvious. So then we moved to this valley in South Wales, and we thought we were going to do like worship stuff. We did do loads of really cool worship
epic
stuff,
ones,
and it was awesome. I think that's where we met you guys. We met you when you came along to some of that. Not met you, but got to know you better when you came along to some of that stuff, didn't we? And
I learned to play the keyboard in your events.
That is true.
That is true. Yeah.
Up in St. Times on the mountain.
It was.
We used to do those crazy. Yeah, it was really
epic.
really fun. But so we and then we've sort of been in Wales ever since. But things have just developed and changed over time, and we've just sort of followed what we felt was the right thing for us to be doing at the time, and that's often taken us and me to places that we didn't foresee perhaps back then. But it's great.
So during that time you really loved poetry, didn't you? And that kind of when you had when you were poorly, you started really reading poetry. And I listened to an interview that I think you've done recently, which I have shared in the Creative Space group, where you talked about how that poetry really helped you, because you could really sort of relate to it. And it's kind of what poetry is it that you, because it's all different poetry, isn't there? And like different genres of music. So what kind of poetry is your love?
I think I guess what I write at the moment is like free verse, so fairly modern free verse, I guess. But probably more poetry that's aimed at being on a page in a book, rather than rather than say like slam poetry that's more performance based, although I do love reading and performance, so I'm not saying I wouldn't do those, that I love that stuff as well. But I think the poetry that I really connected to when I was unwell was stuff in books. And I've loved poetry since I was like really young, always been around it, and since a child, so it's always been something that I've loved. But I think it really started to open up for me, like I said, when I was unwell. And I found that due to illness and things, I couldn't concentrate for long periods of time, and I couldn't focus. I've always loved reading, but I couldn't read books or even actually watch the telly. That might be something that other people have experienced when they're ill, but I could read poetry. And so I used to read, there's a poet called Wendy Cope, who I love, who's really funny. I remember someone, I think I don't know where that book came from. It might be my mum's or something. It was just in my house. But I started to read some of her stuff, and I think it was a real lifeline for me. It was a real powerful and transforming thing, like reading it. And yeah, so I guess the poetry I love is quite varied, actually. I love loads of different types of poetry, but maybe I've focused in more on the poetry that I write more recently.
So how did you go from loving reading poetry to actually start writing it yourself, or have you always done that as well?
Yeah, I think I did used to write it, but I think I wasn't able to write it while I was unwell, because I didn't have the clarity to do that. But as I started to get better, I started to write my own stuff, and that was like really healing and wonderful. And then I think I've just over time, I guess, realized that I love to do that. And so I've really pursued then becoming better at it. And that has meant, throwing myself into the poetry community, and into reading more and more poets. And I think when you want to become better at something, it's really good to get around other people that are already doing that brilliantly. So that's what I sort of did. I just sort of thought, I'm gonna find the people. And I think I've just found this wonderful community of people that's really alive and pumping. And there's an incredible poetry scene in Wales, and everywhere else, I'm sure, but I only know about the one in Wales. So and it's really thriving and amazing. So that's been a really wonderful experience just to access that. And then I've just found through reading, writing, getting around the right people, I think I've just got better and better at writing it. And I think that's interesting. I think that's something, I think sometimes we think when something comes from God, it's just going to come and be there, complete. And I think although I that does happen, what I often find is that the idea or the concept comes, but actually what I've found working with other poets is that they work really hard, and sometimes we I don't know, that sounds kind of anti-spiritual, but it's actually really not. I
don't think it's anti-spiritual, because I think it's crafting. That's how I see it, is really crafting something beautiful. And I get what you mean, because I think any artist, that is a part of being artistic, isn't it? The craft of something. And I think you do get downloads, and there are there are things that are just for that moment, and it kind of, you have to leave it in the moment. And then there's other things. I know for me, that's a journey I had to go on as well a little bit, because I used to love to sing spontaneously. And then the Lord really spoke to me about crafting in songwriting. And actually, I found that quite a challenge, because I thought, oh my gosh, but I love just singing in the spirit and being in the moment. And like the Lord had to really speak to my heart about the fact that he's in that like there's actually a conversation that he wants in those moments. So it's like he'll give, like you said, the thought, but that it's actually a deeper conversation to be had that actually comes out with those moments when you kind of go back into the encounter or back into the download that the Lord gave you. And journey that out into a deeper place. And for me, I don't know what your take on it is, you become that thing then. It's like you go so deep that you become it. And I always find those moments are more like a little invitation. Like there's lots of things going out in the spirit, in the realm of creativity, and they're just invitations for us to go in to a deeper place, and that he forms. Like what I love about just obviously being your friend and watching you is that even with your poetry, I've seen something formed in you, like as you've, like you say, have chosen to pursue that world, those doors, that community.
Sorry, I think my dog's just trying to break in, but he can stay out there. I think that's really true what you're saying about crafting, and and I think as well that requires an element of humility, which is a really interesting thing. You have to go to places where you're like, wow, I thought I could do this, but I can't do this, and get around people that are brilliant at it, and then learn that it's there, the seed's there, and find the tools to make it happen. But recently I was accepted onto a course which is called it's a Tinewedd poetry masterclass. So that was with Gillian Clark and Carol Ann Duffy, who are two poets who are sort of Gillian Clark used to be the National Poet of Wales, and Carol Ann Duffy was the Poet Laureate in England. So there's sort of two equivalents. And that was like a mind-blowing experience, because they are, two real poetry greats, and just being on that was wonderful, because you're around other creatives and poets, and like I said, you can bounce off each other, learn. You're in an environment where poetry is really valued, and that was really precious for me, because it people really took it seriously. So you're reading like lines and people will go, ooh, oh, I love that word you've used there, or people are really in it, and I was like, oh, these are my people,
This is my tribe.
But just being around people who've really walked the walk as well, and who have an incredible gifting and voice. And I think so much of what I've been through, perhaps, even in the last 10 years, whatever, is just finding my voice. And that's something that can take time, and that's okay. And that I found in my experience that didn't sort of just land in my lap. It was something that I had to pursue and look for. And even now, make conscious decisions about, what do I want to say, and what do how do I want to sound to people, and what do I want my the frequency of the book I'll write one day to be, and what do I want that to do to people when they hold it or when they read it, and I think I think sometimes as well, creatives, and particularly poets within that, can be viewed as quite solitary figures, as if to create or write poetry is a solitary thing. And I think I certainly had that view, whereas that's not the case at all. I found I've found that I've really needed other people, and the right people. I think that's really key as well. You have to find the right people, and people who really get you, and really they love your work and they love what you're doing, but they're also willing to say, you know, I have a poet who's further down the line than me now, and I send her my stuff, and she'll write back and say, oh, I love this, what about this line, what about this word, you know, and she can do that because we sort of have that relationship, and the result of that is, you know, material that's much better than it would have been. So I think I've really discovered that this is not something that I can sit and solitary do on my own, but actually in communion with God, as I always am, and then in communion with other creatives that God, you know, puts around me. That's how you find your voice.
That's right.
So
that's beautiful. I think it's amazing, isn't it, how life comes from community. You know, the Trinity is in community. We're invited into that, and there is nothing that we're meant to do alone. And actually, again, that's another reason why we're creating this space. We're creating space for people, because it's hard when you haven't perhaps found your tribe. And I think we're in a really funny time in the world, in history, where some people are in church, some people are out of church, all different spheres of influence. But friendship and being able to be connected just does something on the inside of you. And that's how he's made us to be. And it's such a beautiful and productive, fruitful thing. But I hope, you know, and that's why for us, creative space is like a long-term sort of plan, to continue it, because the Lord showed me that you have to make room for like the many voices. And it's just such a beautiful thing. Have you got any poetry that you could read to us? We'd love to hear some.
Definitely,
Go for it. We'd love to hear one.
So this poem I wrote on that week. Interestingly, it was one of those ones that did kind of just come. And for me, it was like a healing process to write it. But I took it to one of the poets leading that course, and it was a 13-line poem, and she said to me, I feel like that should be a 14-line poem.
Wow.
Because then it will be, you know, loosely a sonnet and things. And I was like, oh, I think it's really good as a 13-line poem. But then because of the caliber of who he was, I thought maybe I should listen to this. And I spent a long time rejigging the whole thing. And actually that line totally made it. So yeah, that's an example of when it's kind of sometimes a good idea to go back and re-look at things and like find the extra treasure that's in there, not in sort of a heavy worky way, but just in a way that it can become even more wonderful than it was. So this poem is about penguins, but it's also about postnatal psychosis.
Okay, go for it, girl.
And Kevin Vor in Welsh means ocean, just so you know. Emperor penguins. It is the father that guards the egg, protects it from the cold, shrill ice. Mother is not here. They say she's away, humming lullabies to lanternfish, screeching into bottles written notes. She sends them out across the sea in search of herself. I'll bring you fish, she writes, tucked in my bag, shoals of kindness to feed on. But for now, the room is closing in. The walls, once rigid, dance paper dolls. The floor, a liquid, twisting Kevin Vor. When the babby asks where Mammy is, they say she has gone fishing. Yeah, so that's Emperor Penguins. Would you like another one?
Yes, please, yeah.
Let me just find a good one. Sorry, this should be a lot more prepared than it is.
What I love, Non, about I think everyone should have a friend, and you are mine, that kind of is into stuff that is outside your world and your sphere. And I think I love our friendship because you read books that I wouldn't even know about, and we have such interesting conversations. And actually, I love it because you make me think and realize that there's like a world outside the where I've got my focus. And me and Rachel, probably because of you, we actually went with our friend Julia Harris, another singer-songwriter, to a poetry evening the other night, and I would never have gone. Really, I was thinking about this if I had known you and your love for poetry. It's almost like because you've got this love for it, I thought, oh, it's maybe something I would go and check out. And we had a brilliant evening. Rachel will kind of attest to it. It was just the most amazing evening, and there was all sorts of different poetry there. There was the slam poetry. There was mystical poetry. I mean, it was one, me and Rachel trying not to get whacked. It was really, wasn't it? That one guy I don't know, what kind of poetry is that, Rachel?
It was very mystical and deep.
Very. I was like, oh, this is good. It opened up the realms within as this guy was speaking. There was storytelling poetry. So there was this guy who did this such a funny poem which is called Prayers and Prozac. It was all different people. For me, it gave me a glimpse into a world, and I actually started engaging what God is opening up through poetry. And it was great to even go to that evening. Of course, Elisabeth Cooper, I now know, has always had a heart for poetry. And we know an amazing poet in Wales called Katie as well. And it just feels like there's something amazing opening in the realm of writing, spoken word, and like the oracle spirit. That's what I feel. But let's hear your next poem.
And just to say on that, I think we've always had lush conversations about this sort of thing, haven't we? And
we have,
I think for me, I'm bonkers about Jesus. I love God. God is so much my friend and so intimately intertwined in everything that I do. And I guess I've never sort of viewed things as we've talked about a lot before, Christian or not Christian, or poetry for me is just being like, is heaven in that? Oh yeah, it is awesome. So for me, it's not like Christian writers, non-Christian writers. I'm like, I can read anything. I could look at anything. I could go to an art gallery and look at anything and get completely wrecked because God's either in it or not in it, and I think I've really found that within the poetry community.
It's so inspiring.
There's some wild, amazing voices, and I think my husband and I, years and years ago, we had a word that we're salmon swimming upstream. And that we're made for the resistance. And I think we've never felt completely comfortable within a certain box or genre. And I think I think that's what poetry is, and that's what artists and creatives do. We push the boundaries and stretch the margins of what's okay, and we ask the questions that are not allowed to be asked, and we say the things you're not allowed to say. And people might say, oh, nations and countries and, cultures are built on political systems and all that stuff. It's not, they're built on the ideas of creatives and artists and poets and,
Come on now, preach it.
That's how the world is structured, and I think for me, I find that everywhere I look and like everywhere I go. So it's quite funny for me. People go, oh, you don't write Christian poetry. And I'm like, no, God's like pumping through everything I say or do, but it maybe is not necessarily within a certain genre or box. And I found actually, and not that those, to write in that way is wrong. I think we're all different and we all have a different scroll and a different thing to say. So I think that's a wonderful and valid thing if that's your scroll. But I think I've really discovered that it's not mine. And I think that's been really liberating because it's meant that I can suddenly say all these things that I was like, oh, I can say these things and push these boundaries and question stuff and do things. And it's actually what God is wanting me to do, and that's wonderful. And I think that's the culture of heaven. Ultimately, we're pulling every day, birthing and investing in the culture of heaven. And just to be encouraged to follow your voice and your scroll, even if it doesn't fit within the context of maybe what you're in now, or maybe what you feel like you should be saying or doing, you know, say the wild things, like say the things that the energy comes, and say the raw stuff, you know, and say the things that perhaps you're not really allowed to say, you know, and we're always with love and compassion and kindness. And I think if you're rooted in the kindness and compassion of God, then just roll with it, you know, and like be wild, be crazy and wild. But anyway, sorry, that was like
no, that was great. That was so good.
But shall I read one more, or should we? What do you want to do?
Yeah, we've got time for one more.
Yeah. Okay. So this one is called Grieving the Living, and it's really special to me because it's actually one of the first poems that I wrote, really, like when I was getting a bit better. So it's precious to me. And I guess just quickly to say, I think sometimes, just as I've said in other interviews, but I think we can think that, oh, healing comes through just talking about joy. And I think that's true. You know me, Janine, I love a bit of joy.
You're the head in the barrel girl, so
yeah, I'm a head in the barrel girl. But I think sometimes people can be liberated and find hope through seeing their truth written on a page. And sometimes that means that you have to expand on pain, and that's a difficult thing. And I think Jesus did that, you know, and it was like awkward for people that were following him, but he was like the master. And that's ultimately what the Psalms are. You know, some of the Psalms are difficult reading because David did that. And I think so this is probably one of those sorts of poems, but I don't know why it's the one that came into my head to bring, but anyway, I'll bring it. So here we go. It's called Grieving the Living. I lined your tin can coffin years ago, laid you to rest in your tennis shoes and suit. Come Monday, I was witness to one of your many resurrections, a wild scrawl found accidentally inside a book called Art Needs No Justification. Love, it needs none either. For a few hours, I've decided to let you live, taking breath through your own historic script, central as the light changes. Witness to one of these normal days, all its comings and its goings. Dishes have come out within the periphery of your words, then gone away, and then come out again, until the moon whispers a curfew across that book sitting open on a desk, and I lay you to rest amongst the other paper coffins, those who live on only through their pages and their pens. You are placed carefully back within the woods of our shared history, as solid and secure as I can make you. I climb the stairs into the present on my own and put these still tangible people to bed.
Wow.
There we go.
Epic. It's like story time with Non.
I feel like the CBD music should come on now.
I know, I was just like, oh, that was lovely. Oh, it's so awesome.
For like asking me, and can I just say, Jen, that was like flipping amazing. I loved it. It was so good. So yeah, I just want to say that. But thank you so much, Janine.
Yes.
For just Janine's amazing because I can be me, which is epic. You got our friends.
I love you.
You're really different. You're in different stuff, but you love each other. So yeah, that's precious.
Yeah. Oh, love you, hen.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming to our group. I'm going to toss it over to Elisabeth just to do a bit of a round up of tonight because she's so good at it, and obviously poetry is your thing, and you've got something epic happening on the weekend, so it'd be great to kind of let everyone know about that. Over to you, amazing Elisabeth.
Oh my goodness.
A great knowledgeable one.
Oh wow. Well, I don't know about that, but what a great for me it's morning here, or just turned afternoon, but evening for all of you in the UK. But what a great time together today, and it's just so rich. I love hearing from all of you guys, you know, the stuff that you're doing and the way that you are shaping the world and creating culture. And to just that's kind of what I want to just leave you with, a little nugget today. I'm not going to talk for a long time, but and it actually does have to do, Janine, with what you're saying, you know, creating from Zion. Janine mentioned I have a 3-hour online intensive this Saturday, the 26th, called Creating from Zion. And we're just going to really dive into the depths of that. But I wanted to, this is our last gathering of the year. I want to kind of leave you with a nugget, with a charge, with an encouragement, with something that can hopefully bring you into, you know, some deep thought and pursuit with the Lord in your creative endeavors as we move forward. And okay, so I was thinking yesterday, and Janine and I were kind of talking back and forth, and I was thinking about the whole thing of creating from Zion, you know, and there's so much and so many aspects and facets and beautiful things to look at and to go into it. Within that, it's very vast, right? It is as vast as the heart of the Lord, because he is the creator and he is eternal. And so creativity is as vast as his heart, as him, because it is who he is, but it's also who he created us to be. And so understanding, and I talk about this a lot, I've talked about this here, the difference between culture, the creating culture and influencing culture. I'm going for culture creation, because that's what the Lord is about. The Lord is about creating culture. He's not about influencing culture. So I'm not stuck on the 7 mountain thing. I'm about 1 mountain. I am about Zion. I'm about creating the culture of Zion in the earth. And when we look, I was thinking about, you know, for little nugget today, I was thinking about an example of this as the tabernacle. You've got the tabernacle, you've got the people of God, and you've got the Lord saying, okay, I want you to build a tabernacle. Now, he didn't just say, I want you to build a tabernacle. Go ahead and look around you to the other cultures. They've all got worship cultures. They've all got temples and whatnot. Go ahead and just look at what they're doing, and then just do it a little differently. That's not at all what happened. There was very specific, right down to, you know, the colors and the dimensions and the functions and the whole deal, right? The tabernacle, if you read, and again, you know, we don't have time to go into all this now, but you read about the tabernacle and the very specific instructions that ushered, and I would say gushed forth from the heart of the Lord in this extremely beautiful way. There was this thing, the Lord is all about beauty, right? And so we're always going to have, he's going to lead with beauty. Always he leads with beauty. And so, you know, you've got the tabernacle. Now it's interesting, all of the cultures around that were surrounding the people of the Lord in that time were, they had a lot of gods, and the people of God were surrounded by all of these cultures on every side, all of these cultures that were worshiping a ton of gods. And so the Lord says, I want you to build a tabernacle. And in part, the purpose and the function of the physical existence of the tabernacle was as a physical reminder to the people of the Lord that there is one true God. It was this beautiful expression of the heart of the Lord in the earth. And I love what Nan was saying, you know, about, you know, we often think, you know, it just, you know, these things just drop, and sometimes they do, and then they're complete. But when you think about the tabernacle, there's this vision that's laid out, but I go in and I imagine being a craftsman, executing this extremely ornate and intricate vision that really hadn't been seen before on the earth. There were things that were so unique about it. It was a whole culture in and of itself. It had nothing to do with the worship cultures around it. It was separate from, it was holy. But I think about the craftsmen who then take this and they're, you know, making these huge menorahs from one solid, you know, brick of gold. They're doing this, they're crafting, they're day in and day out doing the work to craft the beauty of Zion. And so so I love that you brought that, you know, into the conversation on, because I think it's so important. There are different aspects of how it plays out for us, and how it looks, and how we do manifest these things onto the earth. But the nugget that I want to leave you with today is that we get out of the box of drawing from the energy of the arts in the earth to somehow create or influence, that we get rid of that mindset, and that we come into the abundant life of creating from Zion. And understanding that there is no lack of ideas, there is no shortage of inspiration, there is no shortage of originality in the heart of the Lord, or in the ways of Zion, in the creativity of Zion. And I think so often as believers, growing up in a man-made system of Christianity, we are constantly sort of moving within this idea of influence. And again, I am sent to the community of believers in the earth to shake this up and to say, no longer are we just going to be influencers, but we're actually going to create a whole new world. We're actually going to create a whole new culture. It has nothing to do with me drawing from what is the energy of the earth. It has everything to do with me operating as what I call the Zion people, me operating and pulling and living in the ways of Zion, and releasing into the earth everything that Zion is, and the beauty of the Lord. The word of the Lord goes forth from Zion, and the beauty out of Zion, beauty shines forth, God shines forth. And so we are the Zion people. And I also love what Nan was saying. I feel like, oh my gosh, there were so many things that she was saying that I was like, oh man, I just want to have like a conversation about all these things.
She's amazing.
Amazing. And so, you know, it is true. Creatives, we shape the culture. We not only shape it, but we're supposed to create it. As Zion people, we're supposed to create it. There's a difference between creation and influence, and we're going to get into that on Saturday in the workshop. We're going to dig into a lot of this on Saturday in the workshop. This is just nugget time, and I'm going to wrap it up here. But I love what she was saying about the creatives in the earth, because I was reminded of a quote by Andrew Fletcher, I think was his name, and he was a politician, but he said, I care not who makes your laws, give me those who write your songs, or something to that effect, or give me the ones who write the songs of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws. Because you can't legislate righteousness, right? You can't actually legislate holiness, you can't legislate purity, you can't legislate beauty, but you can create it in the earth, and that's what the creators are here for. So I want to leave you with this little, you know, nugget of a time here with the charge of this, that you are Zion people, and to create from Zion, and to no longer be connected to this idea of influence, but to be connected to the truth of creation, the truth of being a creator made in the image of the Creator. So I'm going to toss it back to you, Janine. And if you guys want to join my intensive on Saturday, it's going to be bonkers cool. We're going to do this for 3 hours, and it's going to be awesome. So, all right.
By the end, Elisabeth will be levitating. That's just the beginning. Oh wow, that was awesome. That was a total mic drop moment. Yeah, I love it. I think it's so true, isn't it? The thing is that we're looking for our hearts to be moved and changed, and laws don't do that. That's what art does. It moves your heart. It gives you. There's like a truth in it that sounds like something you already know, that or it hits that frequency of the one who's already within you. That's what I was kind of getting when you were speaking. It's like you hear the truth and the truth in you, and they resonate. So beautiful. Yes, if anyone can make the weekend, do that. Thank you everyone for joining us this year, journeying with us. We love you all. And we're going to be back next year. We've got some exciting things in the works, and I know Elisabeth has too. So it's just going to be really exciting just to see what happens as we all go on this journey together. So keep posting in the group. And do you guys want to say anything before should we unmute and say goodbye? Rachel or Rob, do you want to?
Yeah. Oh, that was such a rich evening. Oh my gosh. Or daytime, wherever you are. That was just like meat, wasn't it? That was just like a delicious meal with a bunch of creators, and we just got to get out there now and shape and create culture.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful nugget. I've tied that in with a couple of things I'm going through myself right now. So it was amazing. Thank you, Elisabeth. Thank you to everyone. You're all amazing.
Yeah. Okie dokie. I can't see anyone, so should we all
They're on gallery view, and they should be there.
Is anyone still here?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for encouraging. Thank you.
Oh, that's where everyone is. Yes. I pressed the wrong button. I was like, is anyone still left?
They're in the closet.
Oh wow. Yeah, so great to see your faces, and yeah, so have a brilliant Christmas as well, everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll see you next year.
Yeah, see you. So we kick off. We kick off in January, and we'll have a special guest. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. We love you.